Oh, hey, thank you very much for tuning in here. We got a banger coming to you live, brought to you by Stefan Sear, the main guy at the Clare Health Center, right? So this guy thinks it's okay to charge the property taxes to his how should I call them, underlings, right? But the underlings, and because it doesn't matter what we say, right? It doesn't really matter what we say. The only thing that matters is he's got the guns, and he will force us by any means necessary. Let's say, for example, you don't pay. Let's say, for example, you don't pay your property taxes to fund abortions. Well, he's going to come with the guns and kick you out of your own house that you built, right? You bought and paid for, right? You kicked you out of your house, and some other guy that's going to pay him the property taxes will legally own your house, legally, whatever legally means these days, right? So it is already morally questionable. All right, we're going to read this. It is already morally questionable to fund government operations through property taxes, a system that can resemble taking candy from a baby, right? It's like you have to have a house. I mean, this is your basic, this is your basic this is your the basic necessities of life, right? It's like taking candy from a baby. Right? But what makes it unconscionable is when those hard-earned funds are redirected towards institutions like the Clare Health Center, which participates in the killing of babies through abortion services. This is not just taxation; it is compelled financial complicity in the destruction of innocent human life. Right? Sort of the moral inversion of taxation. Taxation is meant to serve the common good, infrastructure, safety, and public health. When property taxes fund the destruction of human life through abortion, a society inverts morality. It forces citizens to bankroll killing under the guise of healthcare. Okay. So, coerced complicity. Citizens are being made complicit in something many of them believe is evil, right? By funding abortion with tax dollars, the government overrides conscience, enforces participation in the ending of innocent lives. Right? Right? So government betrayal of its mandate. The core duty of government is to protect life, not eliminate it. Right? Using public funds to subsidize abortion services betrays the very purpose of civil authority. Right? So that's a very good point about the authority right there. So are they in authority, or are they just some entity? They're our overlords basically, and if you don't pay, you're going to hear the you're going to hear about it. You're going to hear about it for sure. Right? It's not an authority anymore. It's just some what is it, right? You can call it any kind of thing you want, but it's certainly, or what does the very essence of authority mean, right? Well, certainly not this. So, injustice against the voiceless. No demographic is more vulnerable and voiceless than the unborn. Yet, we've structured a system where the voiceless are not just unprotected; they're targeted, and their deaths are financed by the people around them. Right? These are just as much your neighbors as me and you, right? They are our neighbors in law, right? So it's this is a terrible thing. Taxation without representation of the unborn. The unborn have no vote, no legal advocate, and no chance to appeal. When property taxes fund abortion, we are taxing one part of society to destroy another, a literal case of taxation funding extermination. Right? A double injustice to the poor. Property taxes hit the poor hardest when their money is used to reduce future generations, often their own, through abortion. It's economic and demographic self-destruction disguised as reproductive health. Right? A system rooted in death cannot sustain life. A society that justifies its budget by ending its own children has no future. Economies collapse when populations decline. Morality collapses when murder is rebranded as medicine. All right. So I certainly would not be would want to be on the bad on the the opposite end of this history, on the wrong side of history here. So it's very important to know that charging property taxes in itself, like for a basic, yeah, okay, I get the whole thing. I mean, they want to charge taxes, right? They want to levy a sanction on the basic necessities of life, and that's okay if you want to. What about sidewalks, and what about garbage collection, or what about a municipal sewer system, as wastewater system or whatever. No, 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 no. We're gonna just kill the babies, right? So I mean, these people are lunatics, right? That's the whole point. And oh yeah, and if you don't pay up, right, every year, and the property taxes go up every year, right? They're going to go up and up and up and up, right? So Stefan Sear, right, this guy is in charge of all this, and he thinks it's fine and dandy, right? He doesn't see any problem in that, right? He thinks it's okay to fund abortion with property taxes, right? And isn't healthcare supposed to be provincial? I don't care about that. The only thing I care about is um, right, not being complicit in paying in paying these taxes. These taxes are a penalty for living somewhere. Like literally, you're being charged a penalty for having a house and being a productive person, right? Oh, you don't want to build your house too big, or because if you build your house too big, it's going to cost a lot of money every year for your tax. What nonsense, right? An incentive for having a beautiful home. Let's say, for example, you want a government, let's say, for example, the government were to incentivize its citizen for building nice things and all that stuff. If I were, running the things, I wouldn't give a penalty for, I would give an incentive for building beautiful homes, right? I would give an incentive to the people. But if you go down that train, right, who is it actually owned? Who's the ownership of your house? Where is the ownership of your house? Well, is it you? Well, try not paying the abortions. Try to not pay the abortions. You try it, and you're going to have a whole bunch of guys with guns kicking you out of your own house, and some other guy is going to pay the property taxes, right? It only works because of the society we've been led to believe that paying the municipal government because you're refusing to pay. Let's say, for example, you refuse. Okay, I don't want to pay abortions anymore. I don't want to pay my property taxes because that money goes for abortion, and I don't want to pay for abortion. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want that stain on my record, on my final judgment at the end of my life, right? I don't want to pay for that. It's wrong, right? It's wrong to pay for property taxes that will go for abortion, right? So it's wrong, right? And then, the government's going to come and the sheriffs, right, with guns, right, and the RCMP with guns, right, and they're going to have a police dog, maybe. I don't know if the police dog is going to make an appearance there, but if he does, he's going to bite you, right, bite you in the leg, in the shins, and he's going to bite you. And if you fight back the dog that's biting you, well, you're going to have a charge of assault against a police officer, and then you go to in a cage, right? They put you in a cage. All right, so you don't want to pay for abortion. You're not going to pay, and then they're going to come and they're literally going to force you with the handcuffs or the police dog. Maybe the police dog. I don't know about that. But let's say, for example, the police dog bites you and then you bite him back. Well, you're going to have a charge and they're going to put you in a cage. And then they're going to steal your house, right? Then they're going to steal your house. And then some other guy is going to live in your house. I'm not even joking, right? That is the reality of the world today. It's. Does this make any sense to you? Does this make any sense? No, but that's just the way it is. And okay, so this is not how a society works. Let's say for example, we were to live in a normal society. I actually moved out of Clare, and let's say for example, my house here. I built a house, a very three-story house. I have a three-story house. I got a whole bunch of kids, right? And they're living in my three-story house. I have literally a third story that is bought and paid for, right? Bought and paid for, right? I don't have any mortgage. My house is mine. I own the house outright. So is there a little property tax? Yes, there's a little property tax because I live in a city. It's literally a city. So I live in a city. Okay, so there's a little property tax, but they don't go kill babies, right? They're doing sidewalks and garbage collection and municipal sewer systems, right? That's what they're doing with the money, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you. And the amount is like $50 Canadian and 50 to $60 Canadian per year, right? Something like that. That's the amount I pay for property taxes, and I'm very happy to pay it, right? Because not really. I mean, it kind of sucks, but whatever. I'll just pay it anyway. But I live in a great city. I live in a wonderful city where I don't have to worry about, the government killing our children, right? I don't have to worry about these lunatic, psycho-lunatic, depraved individuals masquerading as doctors. There's a little bit of, the mainstream and all this stuff, but, generally we can easily dodge that, right? But for the most part, we don't have to worry about that, right? So I don't have to be responsible for that stain um, on my conscience, right? To pay the property taxes, and it funds the destruction of the society. That's just nutty, very very nutty, right? And only a depraved lunatic can think of a scheme like that. But you got to give it to him. It actually works for now.